Yo, imagine going out, being out with a date somewhere, and somebody mistakes that person with your child because they might have a condition like dwarfism, or they just look young. They look younger than they actually are. Because, and this is why I say all the time, sometimes people might just need to get off social media, get off the internet, all that stuff, because you're going to deal with the real world too. But half the time, some people won't say it to your face in real life. So I just want to really just discuss that. I want to know what y'all think about people who are dating someone who looks like a child but isn't a child.
What's up, blessed ones? You are now blaring the podcast. Brought to you by AB1 Studios. Thank you for your time. Listening. You wanna know something else, blessed ones? It's
I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. Like, I feel like everybody deserves love, right? And everybody deserves to be happy and, have companionship. And it was kind of a interesting story. There was this guy he's 26 and he's dating a 23-year-old who has dwarfism. And it's like, even this young lady's mother was kind of like looking at him, kind of like maybe had little comments about, as far as like, hey, I know she looks like she's 8, but I wanna date that or whatever. And it was just kind of like, I get it, because here's the thing, when it comes to relationships, we're fueled and driven by attraction mainly. Most men approach women before they even know the woman, right? And it's either you might meet them at the club, which is age appropriation. You might meet them at work, which more likely to be age appropriation. Maybe even at church. And for the most time at church, like you already know, like that, how that is. But again, I'm not gonna get into into all the detail, but I just want to really, discuss elephant in the room, because when I think of stuff like this, it's kind of like, dang, is this person grown? Like, if you're an adult, if you're grown, if you're of age, and it's cool, then cool. Because here's the crazy thing. Everybody has a standard. Now, it's sick when, whether you're a man or woman, and you have a sexual attraction to someone who is probably in the sense that looks as if they are a child. And that's what they call pedophilia and all that stuff, right? There's an attraction there. Now, it goes back again to do we always act on these attractions? Because that's where it starts becoming into the legalities and where the sin and the real pedophilia comes. Because I remember there was like my guy Big Sean, like say he was dating Ariana Grande, and Ariana Grande, she comes from Disney, Nickelodeon, and whatnot. And she still looks young, even to now. Like she's probably like 30 now, 31 or whatever. She still looks like, she still looks like a young, older teenager. Well, I mean, older teenager. Like she can still like pass for a high school student. But going back again, there are those loopholes. It's kind of funny because someone messaged me and was like, they find a loophole for being a pedophile. And again, the fact that someone's mother even made a comment about it, the young lady's mother even made a comment about it. It's wild, and it makes me look and makes me think and be like, you know what? I wonder, like, what are the rules to that? Because it's not like I never in my whole career, my whole life of dating someone, have I asked a woman for their ID. I didn't probably felt the need to. Now I seen their ID, whether it was a driver's license or not, but it wasn't like I asked for it. It might have just been out. But the crazy thing is, because we have men like R.Kelly who has done these things, who's in jail for rape and pedophilia, but and a different thing is pedophilia is actually a little bit more technical than just someone being underage, right? So, but the whole point is, those of you who saw the R. Kelly tape again, because it was in a sense it's child porn. But those of you who seen the tape, it's like, to me, I'm sitting here looking. What I seen again, maybe because I was younger when I seen it, that girl, she didn't look like she was like underage. She might have looked at no younger than maybe 17 to me, because even now to this day, like, you can never know. You never know it. You don't know you don't know how old these women are, especially when they got fake IDs, especially when they're fully formed and they have, a big ass, or, big breasts and stuff like that. But it's at the same time, we're not going to sit here and like be like thinking like, oh, this person is underage if you're in a club, or if you're in a setting where you don't think kids will be. Because here's another example. There's been some type of heat towards Erykah Badu and her daughter. I think her name is Puma. I think it's DLC's daughter, and they put they had an ass shot out, and people was like, oh yeah, she's still underage. She's this and that. But I mean, shoot, if you do your due diligence, I mean, she's an adult. But it's the same. But it's the same thing. You gotta think, like, there are some creeps out here, and this isn't just talking about the men, it's the women as well. But it's we get more men get kind of are the ones who gets the bad rap for, because it's kind of like, I would probably say there's probably more cases of molestation and rape and all that stuff with men. But the whole thing about it for me is, I do feel like this is why I always say you have to know who you're dealing with, right? Because here's the thing, we don't know sometimes. And then now with makeup and all these different plastic surgeries, shoot, there's a possibility that you can be in your 30s dealing with someone who is 16, 17, 18, 19. Because even at the end of the day, I'm not even gonna BS y'all. To me, I'm 35. There's no business me dealing with someone who is 18, 19. The lowest I would even go would probably be 24, 25. If I'm being 100% honest. Only because there is a gap there. Now I'll keep it all way. One day I'm gonna be 50 years old, and I might see a young lady who might be in her 20s, maybe late 20s, looking good, like looking right. I mean, hopefully by that time I'm not, out here, diddying and doing all type of freaking, sugar daddy type stuff. But by that time I would have already had my queen and all that stuff. But I don't know if, just me personally, I don't know if I can be involved with someone seriously who is 10 years, 10 years younger. Nor do I think I can deal with anyone who was probably maybe 10 years older. I'll be a little bit more accepting, but again, this is just me speaking from a different standpoint. But I'm just saying it's kind of like, I mean, when you rich and all that type of stuff, we got the Diddy's and the Young Miamis and you had all these older celebrities and rappers like they got T Diggs and April and all that, kind of mingling and doing that. But again, they're in a different light. They're in a different space. I'm not going to sit here and talk about that. But my whole thing is when you are in a relationship, you're dating someone. When you're in a relationship, when you're dating someone who looks like a child, but is not a child, what is that? Like, how can we even crucify someone for that? I mean, again, I can't sit here and tell someone that, hey, because they look young, because they look like a kid, they can't be in a relationship. Because again, there's different situations. Everybody has different situations. Because again, people like, again, we're in a over sexualized world. We sexualize everything, and the thing is like we can be dating someone, and people would think that we're smashing and doing this. And I say this all the time. But that's pretty much all. That's just pretty much. I just wanted to kind of just address it and point it out because I see so much in that. I mean, it's questionable, but then it's still kind of like, I mean, I always that's why I gotta ask why. Like, how did y'all meet? What's the whole intention? Because to me, like, I have nieces, I had daughters, I have girls in my family, young women in my family, and I know that one day that they're gonna get older. Like, even with my nieces now, like, they so cute when they was babies, they still cute now, and it's like that they're getting older, like they still got the same face, but they're older now. And it's one of these type of things that it's hard to swallow, shout out to my brother-in-law and to my brother and to like people who have daughters, and they have to really remember that, hey, you can't, they're not going to be old forever because again, I have, like I said, I have an ex-wife and I have stepdaughters and stepkids and godkids and all that, and they're young, and it's like as they get older, I'm like, okay, man, dang, I know because I'm a man I know when I was 15, 16, I was looking at older women. I used to always have like in my teenage years I was watching porn and I was already tempted in that world looking at older women, and then even like girls my age. It's like, okay, these girls are my age and stuff, and I didn't really think about sex that much, but it was there. So then it's like, man, one day somebody's gonna look at my daughters and my nieces and my and all. It's just, it's one of those things. It's one of those things, we don't talk about, but it's one of those things that do happen. And I think that's the issue. I think sometimes we address issues as they come. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but we have to kind of sometimes start thinking a little bit ahead of time, because these are possibilities that can happen. And then, you don't want to sit here and be dealing with something unexpected. Like, one thing about me, this is how I approach situations at work. This is how I approach situations in life and in relationships. Like, I ask questions. Some things that come to mind, of course, I don't have to always address it. That's one thing that I am learning. But it's like I have such curiosity on certain things, and it's like I don't know the answer to it. And a lot of things that we don't know the answer to, what do? We research. We go and look. And it's like, for me, if I don't know, I'm going to ask. Because one thing that I do know, as far as me being, a man of faith, being a God guy, and it talks about, our faith and our, our deliverance and salvation. It's like, when you're going through something in life, despair and anger and all that stuff, you go back to the word. You go and you ask God and go and read and fast and do this and get information. That's the thing. We don't go get information anymore. I just wanted to touch that point. Okay? Because for me, like, like I said, I'll date. I don't mind dating women who are younger than me. Like I said, I have a limit. I have dated women who were 6 years younger, 8 years, I believe. But it's still like, I don't know if I would go as far as dating someone who I think looks like a kid, but I'm not going to sit here and like crucify somebody else who does if they're an adult. But again, it's like, sometimes it's like, hey, you're going to report this person. Like, if you see a couple holding hands, and you might think this is this person's son or this person's daughter, but no, that's the boyfriend and girlfriend. Because again, we watch Maury, we didn't watch Jerry Springer, we didn't watch all these different shows, and we didn't seen situations where young girls was dealing with married old men, and they we got sugar mamas, cougars, and sugar dads and all that stuff. But we still have to remember, like, are we really going to mind our business? Because we talk about how innocent children are, but it's like, this person ain't a child. So this is where sometimes minding your business kind of have to come into play. Because like I said, with conditions like this young lady had, which was dwarfism, it's kind of unfortunate because, that's, I don't know if they ever change. I don't ever know if they're ever going to be old or not. But like I said, she's short, and like I said, she looks like an 8-year-old. So it's like, man, it's just, but again, this man, apparently he found a liking to her some way, somehow. And I mean, again, it's like, hey, I don't know. Like I said, it just all depends on the situation. Do you know this person is an adult? Because it's like, hey, but it's just one. It can be weird sometimes, but again, it ain't my business. But it's just something that I think about, because again, we have people out here who are really, molesting and being pedophiles to children that are like 4. and actual 8 and 10 and all that, like boys and men. You know, you got sex trafficking out here, and it's like these people have no shame into that. It's like that's why I say certain things. It like money is such a bad drug and addiction, like because the fact that you can be so heartless to do that to people, people in general is one thing, but children, because one thing that was pointed out to me is like there's a lot of these porn clips that we see on the internet and on Pornhub and on as videos like porn growing up, and there's a part about a lot of these folks, especially women, young women, are underage girls. You know, makeup does things. Makeup does things. It works wonders. And unfortunately, there's going to be certain traumas in one's life, you know, after they manage to escape that life or actually be removed from that life. They'll then have something that is within them. Because I know there's a lot of people, a lot of women, men who's been sexually molested in some way, and they've never been the same again. Some people feel as though, which I can't say whether it's true or not. A lot of people feel as though some people, I didn't witness and heard people say, a lot of people who are, you know, homosexuals, they had some form of sexual abuse growing up. But in regardless of that, my whole thing is when you're exposed to a certain type of, when you're exposed to certain things as a child at a young age, things then become more difficult and there's going to be certain traumas because there can be a lot of women out here who are very sexual and secular, and it's like because they was probably exposed to sex when they was like real young. You know, people get raped, you know, and it's like we have to be very careful and mindful on what we expose to our children. Because at the same time, like one thing I know about karma is it's not going to always come hit you directly. It's going to hit you in a different way. So if you're out here hurting people and doing things to people, your children may be the ones to suffer. You know, sometimes drugs can be the cause of it. You know, there are certain disabilities that we have in this life, in this world, that is caused by our sins. So I just want to encourage everyone, as always, to be safe out here. Be mindful, be wise. Do your best to protect your children. Do your best to protect your heart, protect your space, protect your energy. Because when you give it to certain people, because of whether you're lonely or trying to get over something that you're not facing, it's just going to be something repetitive. You know, one way to prevent yourself from being out here in these streets with the poor, with the lost, with the broken. One way to prevent yourself from being out here like that is don't do too much It's something that I have to learn in life. So if you're out here trying to be Captain Save-A-Hole, don't end up being one trying to be that. You have to give. You have to be compassionate, but you also have to have a balance. You have to know. You have to, like, you can't force it. Like, if it's in your heart to do it, then do it. But that is all, because it's just one of those type things to think about in life. Love is just. Love is kind. Love is humble. But at the same time, you gotta have boundaries. And then you also have to remember that everybody doesn't love the same way. It's one of those hard realities that it's like we think that because God is love, we gotta sit here and, have these certain guidelines and rules. Like, no, we just gotta have respect and boundaries and peace. So just remember, blessed ones, next time you're dealing with something or see something that you don't know anything about, that you're just unsure about, it's best to always question and think about it before you do something. I don't want to be one of those people that is correcting someone and I get condemned because I'm sitting here trying to do something noble and not have the full story. But as always, stay safe, stay positive, stay productive, and most of all, stay positive. This is Blair, your Cancer Care Bear, and I'm out.